Major versus minor. Ah yes, a major, like in the Army. Please report to Major Tom.
Hey, Mr. Henry, that's not it.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Quarternote. Oh, right, of course, as in, what's your major in college? Well, I'm a music major.
No. Not a major that you pick in college.
Well, what is it then, Mr. Quarternote?
We're talking about chords in music that can be major.
Oh, right, of course. Major chords. And that must mean we're also talking about minor chords. But not a minor as in someone mining for coal, right?
That's right.
Okay, cool. So, yes, major chords versus minor chords. Today, we are not going to get into specifics as to what makes a chord either major or minor. Rather, we are going to use our ears to figure out if the chord is major or minor. Chords that are major typically sound happy. Let's take a listen to this chord. When listening, it gives you the feeling of happiness or a special occasion to celebrate. Now, chords that are minor typically sound sad or even scary. Okay, phew, he left. Let's take a listen to this chord. When listening, it gives you the feeling of sadness. Speaking of sadness, like that one day I went to get my favorite sandwich. Yeah. I went waltzing into my favorite deli, ordered me up a sandwich.
With a pickle, please.
And I went to grab a bite of that pickle that I love so much, and it fell right on the floor.
5-second rule?
No, Mr. Quarternote. It was longer than 5 seconds, which is what made me so sad. The minor chord would have worked perfectly in that situation. When we hear music that is happy, it's probably using major chords. And when we hear music that is sad or scary, it's probably using minor chords. Let's take a look at the piano to see how we would play a C major and minor chord. To make a C major chord, we need 3 notes, C, E, and G. The C note is what we call the root or main note of the chord. So when playing all of these notes together, we create a happy sounding chord, a major chord. Now, I just called the C note the root note. We can think of a chord as kind of like a tree. The roots are found at the bottom of the tree and give the tree everything it needs to grow. A chord is built the same way. The root note is the main note of the chord found at the bottom. The notes above the root note are kind of like the trunk, branches, and leaves of the tree. The notes E and G above the root note actually make the chord sound happy or major. Let's look at the minor chord. To play the minor chord, we will use notes C, E flat, and G. The black key just to the left of the E note is called the E flat, which is also why we use the sign, the flat sign, next to the E note on the first line. Let's compare the major and minor chord on the piano side by side. The major chord uses C, E, and G, and the minor chord uses notes C, E flat, and G. So when comparing the two, they look very similar since they both use the C and G. But for the major chord, we use the E on the white key, and for the minor chord, we use the E flat. A slight change, but the entire sound and feel of the chord is different. Wow! In music, you may see these letters above the staff. They are chord symbols. If you see a capital letter like C, that tells us to play a C major chord. But if you see a capital letter with a lowercase m, that is saying to play a minor chord. Cool! Quick review. Major chords typically sound happy, and minor chords typically sound sad. Yeehaw!